Hello and welcome to Soul Guidance with Adriana. I'm a self-love coach and I help you to unravel and eventually overcome your patterns of self-sabotage. Today I wanted to talk to you about the concept of endings and beginnings. This has been inspired by a few conversations I've been having as of late, and it's just a really important topic to think about and to be aware of. So if you've watched any of my tarot videos, you'll know that I talk about ones and tens as the same energy. The ending, which is usually the 10 or the culmination energy, is really the same as the beginning energy, the ace, the one. And kind of the mysticism behind that is that they're the same number as far as numerology goes, that a 10 condenses to 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, so 10 is a 1. But the idea is that every time there's an ending, there is a new beginning. And every time you close through a door, you're opening another one. And while that sounds trite, this is really important to be aware of, because on the spiritual path, there are a lot of endings and there are also a lot of beginnings, but there are a lot of endings, right? Relationships end, jobs end, work ends, friendships end. As you start to change and ascend and shift and your vibration starts to not match what's around you, the vibration of those around you, there are a lot of endings. And it's very easy in the middle of all of these endings to be really caught up in the emotional process, the loss of what came before, the regret of maybe staying in some of these situations, the fear of what's coming forward. And because of that, something really interesting happens where we start to actually vilify the ending. So let's take, I'll use a job because that's maybe more neutral. So let's say, okay, it's time for this job to end. You've been getting signs and you just know it's not suiting you anymore. And the most maybe attractive thing is to start to talk trash about this job and why it was so horrible for you and why it was so icky and all the horrible things they did and how you were underappreciated. That's kind of the first thing we want to do to make the ending soften or to make the ending easier. But on the spiritual path, we have to look at it a little differently. And this is the really important part, because the way you leave a situation is exactly the way you are going to walk into your new situation. If you leave with anger, you're going to walk into your new job with anger. If you leave with feelings of frustration and regret, you're going to walk into your new situation with feelings of frustration or regret. I'll give you a real life example of this. Before I knew I had any kind of intuition at all, I think this was probably college, grad schoolish timing. I was watching my father go through this frustration at work. Work was getting unbearable from a interpersonal standpoint. And he was accumulating a lot of frustration and a lot of anger and resentment, a lot of just junk, which he was then venting to me. And I said to him at one point, you really can't hold on to these things because you're going to attract this same situation if you go into this new job. So I skipped a step there. He had attracted a new job and he was very excited about it. And instead of just dropping the story about the old job and looking forward to the new job, he was, like I'm saying to you, vilifying the old. Oh, they were horrible. They did this, and look at all the junk they keep pulling. Like every time we would talk, he'd have more material. So I tried to say this to him, that if you don't reconcile this now, if you don't leave with a sense of resolution or peace, if you don't walk out neutrally, you're going to be in the same situation again. And of course, he didn't listen, and that's fine. But this is the really interesting part. So he starts this new job. It looks like it's different. I think it was 2 months into the new job. The old company bought out his current company. So now he's back working for his old bosses. So it doesn't get any clearer than that. I think had he energetically shifted, this would have been a different story. But I'm telling this to you so that you can use this to your advantage. Because if we really step back and think about this, If you're in the middle of a relationship that is not satisfying, that's not good, that you don't want to have anymore, you wouldn't want to walk into your new relationship going, well, I can't wait for this to be horrible. I can't wait for this to be just like my old one. I can't wait for this to be landing me in the same sorts of frustration that I feel right now. You wouldn't walk in with a scowl on your face to a new relationship. You would walk in with this hopeful smile, right? Or you would walk in with this sense of positive anticipation. So this means that even if what you're ending seems horrible, you have to figure out a way to detach from it, to resolve yourself within it so that you're smiling just the way you are walking into the new thing. Okay? This isn't about deluding yourself into saying that a situation is good when it's not, or a situation is healthy when it's not. This is not that. It's just a quiet acceptance of reality, a thankfulness that it has helped you to grow to the point that it's gotten you, and that you're grateful for the lessons it taught you. Anything else beyond that is just your ego trying to make this about itself, trying to make itself important, trying to take everything personally. So you really want for yourself to close, to have that door that's closing be one of gratitude and positivity and neutrality if you can't get to positivity. I'm just, I have this visual in my head of, can you imagine somebody walking out of one relationship with a stormy look on their face and then walking into the next one with a stormy look on their face? But that's what we do when we're not aware. And that's why a lot of times we end up attracting the same situations, like I shared with my father. You end up attracting the same situations, even if it's not as blatant as an old company buying out a new one. We've all had relationships where you think you're out of it and then you've walked right into it again. So to kind of wrap this up for you, when you're in the middle of an ending, I just hope that you think back to this video and these words and remember that the ending is just setting the stage for the new beginning, and they're the same. It's the same thing. Walking out of one is exactly the way you're going to walk out of the same, or walk into the same thing. I'm trying to think of a metaphor while I'm talking and it's not quite working, but it's almost like a revolving door. It's the same passage, and whether you get off this way or you get off that way, you're in the same passage. So you want to have good energy in that passage. You want to have thankfulness, gratitude, openness, and if you can, a sense of love for the other person or for the situation, because it did help you grow. And without growth, there is no spiritual path. All right, so I will leave you with those thoughts. If you are in the middle of an ending yourself and you'd like a little bit more clarity on how to get to this point of neutrality, please feel free to reach out. This is the kind of thing I really love helping people with. My contact info is in the description below, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.